Hiring managers, I'm sure I don't have to tell you that time is money. But what if I told you that your recruiter's time is also your money? All right, here's what I mean. Let's say you are leading a team of 9 sales reps in medical sales, and let's say that you work an average of 60 hours, 60 to 70, we'll say 67 hours a week. And let's say that your earnings, base salary plus bonus each year, are equal to about $300,000 a year. So this is going to break down to about $86 an hour. And now let's take an interview process, a very conservative interview process for one hire. Let's say you interview a total of 5 candidates, and then you've got multiple steps throughout the interview process. So initially you're starting with reviewing, before you even start to review resumes and schedule interviews, hopefully you're going to schedule some time on the phone with your recruiter so that they can hit the ground running more closely to targeting what it is you're looking for in a candidate. So you've got that initial step, and then you've got the first round, maybe 30-minute phone interviews, and you're going to have some Zoom interviews between yourself and also taking into account the time that the other members of your leadership team are taking to participate in the interview process. And then you're maybe going to have an in-person interview, and then maybe there's going to be a final interview with the VP, for example. This a process that looks like this, and again, this is conservatively speaking for one hire and interviewing just 5 candidates. This is going to be equal to about 33 hours total time invested from all of the leadership team. That's not going to take into account if there's a field ride with your reps, or if 2 of your reps are connecting either on the phone, Zoom, or for coffee with the candidate. That would be more time, but we're just looking at the time invested from the leadership team's calendar into one interview process. And then if you look at the hourly rate, then that's going to be over $2,300 total. Okay, not too bad of an investment. But what about if you were interviewing more candidates than 5 candidates? What if you were interviewing for more openings than just the one hire per over the year? And then what if you are looking at multiple teams throughout the year making multiple hires? And then what if you have multiple divisions within your company? And then what if you are doing an expansion 1 or more times throughout the year? You can easily see how the hours invested in the interview process and the time invested in the interview process is going to significantly add up. And then what about when you are interviewing potentially the wrong candidates who didn't get weeded out of the process before they ended up on your calendar, either for the phone interview, for the Zoom interview, or even worse, in person, or even worse for your leadership, the executive leadership. Maybe the wrong candidate is interviewing with executive leadership, and they're thinking, why am I doing this? How did this candidate even get to my calendar? When you add up all of these hours that are maybe unnecessarily being invested, and an investment, I like to define an investment as getting something back from my time. And we can become very frustrated. I know I do, and I'm sure you do as well. If you are a people leader, you're leading a team, you have a lot of responsibilities in addition to just interviewing and hiring. When you are taking your time and you're not getting anything back, that doesn't feel good. And then this can further distract your focus. You want to also think about and maybe factor into the interview process the impact of interruptions, because anytime you're opening an email, you're looking at a resume of a candidate that maybe is a fit, but if they're not a fit, this is going to further distract your focus, because you are going to be frustrated thinking, what's the breakdown here? Was there a breakdown in communication? I don't understand why this candidate, who they might be a great person, they might be a great rep, but maybe they're just not a fit for this particular role. Why am I looking at this resume? Or worse, why are they on my calendar? So the point is, time is money, and your recruiter's time is also your money. Now, why is that? Because the longer that your role is open, the more time that you're going to be investing in the interview process and working to take care of that vacancy, and you're just going to be spending extra time and energy the longer that role is open. And so if your recruiter is looking in the wrong place because maybe the communication wasn't there or solid, or some details that are very important as far as maybe what you want in a candidate profile and why, and that recruiter didn't get that information, maybe they didn't ask enough questions, maybe you're super busy and you didn't have the time to connect with that recruiter, maybe you feel like you've worked with this recruiter before, they know what you like, or the job description is on the website, they can read that and research the company and hit the ground running. No, there can always be so many details, or often be so many details that can be overlooked, or even just a couple key details that are not communicated in the interview process. Sometimes we think, okay, well, this is clear in my mind. I know what I'm thinking and what I want and what I mean. And we just think that the other person equally understands what we want, what we mean, what we need, and why. And what if that recruiter is, what if it's a new position within the company where you yourself as a hiring manager are still trying to wrap your head around what you need for this candidate and what their day in the life is going to look like? Because sometimes with expansions and new roles within a company, we may not have that, the company may not have that fully defined. And so these are all of the different kinds of challenges, or some of the different kinds of challenges that can come up in the interview process. And they can distract is not really the right word, but the more defined details that your recruiter has on what you want in a territory, in a profile, candidate profile, and why, the better they can hit the ground running and really hone in on a very targeted search for you. And when you don't have that communication at the start and then throughout the interview process, your recruiter may be wasting their time. They may be using it inefficiently, and that is going to end up wasting your time. How? Because maybe they're sending you candidates that are not qualified and they don't know that they need to be checking these other boxes. And when you do take that time, this is another way I often like to say taking time later creates time, by taking that time to share these important details with the recruiter, and also maybe even potential challenges. So we're still working out the details on exactly what the day in the life is going to look like, but here's what we're thinking. So search for this and search for this. Just the more clear and more communication in general that you have with your recruiter, the better that they can focus. So let's say another example would be you have 2 openings and you do speak with your recruiter at the start of the search, and you start off with good communication throughout the process, and they're sending you qualified candidates and they're moving through. But then let's say maybe an internal candidate or internal referral comes in and you end up filling one of your 2 openings, and you don't remember to let your recruiter know, and they are still busy sourcing candidates for that particular region or role that you no longer need those candidates for. This is another great example of how when your recruiter's time is being wasted, your time is being wasted, because that's time that they could be spending on your other opening that's still a viable opening that you need candidates for. Or maybe your roles are filled and you forgot to let their recruiter know, and the company's doing an expansion, and there's other openings for other members of your leadership team that recruiter could be focusing on. So the main point is to improve communication. When the stronger the communication and the more clear the communication between you, the hiring manager, what you want, what you need in a candidate profile, and why, and then staying connected with them throughout the search with updates, because sometimes the profile might change depending on your candidate pool. Maybe you get a bunch of solid candidates that check a lot of the boxes, and so now you're not going to be as open, and you want to tighten up the search a little bit more. If you don't let the recruiter know that the candidate profile has kind of tightened up a little bit, then they're still open, and then they're spending more time, and this is going to take up time on your calendar, because you're going to be getting emails and resumes and candidates that are potentially not a fit. And then even if you're opening up that email and that resume, this is distracting your focus from something else that you could be doing. So yeah, I'm very passionate about time management, especially on the leadership calendar. And a lot of times you guys can be going a million miles a minute, I get it, but you really want to remember to prioritize connecting with your recruiter at the start of the search and throughout. And this is going to end up putting time back on your calendar, and that is money. Because if you free up, let's say just by improving the communication with your recruiter and taking 1 to 5 hours off of your time spent interviewing in the interview process, what can you do with that 1 to 5 additional hours? And that's, again, speaking very conservatively, but what can you do with those additional 5 hours? How can you continue to grow your business? How can you continue to inspire your team? What additional time do you have? Are you going to then have to crunch those numbers and forecast or whatever it is that you need to do to grow the business? So time is money, your time is valuable, and your recruiter's time is valuable too, because how they're spending it is going to directly impact your schedule. So I hope that helped. If you got some value from the video, I invite you to like and subscribe. That will help me grow the channel, and it will help you stay updated on my next video.